Alright, so I'm here waiting for the next Resident Evil Village demo, which is in just about an hour, and I'm pretty excited to see what this demo is going to be. I've been following this game quite a lot lately, and I think it'll be interesting to see what this demo has in store. So, I know that it's going to be the castle section of the game, or at least part of it, and I'm really looking forward to it. Excited to see exactly what this gameplay is going to be. I don't have a PS5, so I didn't get to check out the Maiden demo, but I believe this demo is gonna be pretty similar to that, so I think it takes place in the same area, if I'm not mistaken, because that area I think also takes place in the castle section of the game. This is just going to be the countdown stream. Build up some hype and let people know that the demo's coming. I believe it starts around 5 p.m. So we have just an hour to go. Hopefully you can hear me okay, and hopefully I'm in the frame. Yeah, everything I've seen, it just looks really interesting. As I said before, I'm not a massive fan of the first-person perspective, but I think I can still enjoy it. It's just a matter of learning how to play this way. Because if I have to make one criticism of the first-person Resident Evil perspective, I would just say that I would make the comparison to BioShock, which is a first-person, I guess, survival-esque type horror game. And one of the things in BioShock that I feel like is lacking in this game is that enemies aren't bullet sponges, and oftentimes they do tend to react to the damage that you do to them, whereas like Resident Evil enemies, it feels like you just have to keep shooting them until they're dead, which is one thing that I wish they would change. You know, I wish whenever you would shoot an enemy, there would be like a reaction, or, you know, kind of like in Resident Evil 5, you know how like you shoot an enemy in a specific body part and they like stumble and they stagger depending on where you shoot them. So like if you shoot them in the leg, they'll like kneel over. I feel like Resident Evil Village should incorporate something like that with their enemies. Or like, or depending on where you shoot them, like, it should stagger them or at least slow them down to show that they are indeed taking damage, or the bullets that you shoot have an effect on them, if you know what I mean. So I feel like that's one thing that they should incorporate, since it is first person. Nobody likes bullet sponge enemies. Nobody likes having to guess how long it's gonna be until the enemy drops. So I feel like those are some things that Resident Evil Village could improve on. I know that the game is pretty much finished, so I don't think that they're gonna make too many changes, but I feel like that's one of my biggest criticisms is enemies should have reactions to whatever damage you're doing to them. Like in the last demo, we met those group of people, and then that one lady's father, I guess, turned into a lichen, and nothing really killed him. Like, he was shot several times, he was blasted with a shotgun, you know, and he was still fine. So I feel like that's really just lazy game design, if you ask me. You know, the enemies aren't going to be dead until the developers say so, which I think is kind of dumb. And the same thing kind of happened in Resident Evil 7 with Jack. You know, no matter how many times he killed him, he didn't stay dead. I feel like there has to be that line where you define what kills an enemy and how much they can endure, if that makes sense. Because nobody likes to fight the same boss several times, you know. At that point it's just tedious and it becomes annoying. I feel like as powerful as, you know, the creatures are in Resident Evil, they shouldn't be bullet sponges. You know, there should be a definite amount of damage that they can take before their bodies just give out. So I think that's one of the criticisms that I have. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree, you know, nobody likes to fight bullet sponge enemies. I can't understand though, you know, why they would choose to make some enemies bullet sponges. I guess it would probably be just to show that the enemies that you're dealing with are powerful. But at the same time, I feel like if you create an enemy and you show that they are very difficult to kill, the reward should be being able to kill them. You know, it shouldn't be tedious. You know, that's not fun. So when you do finally kill a, you know, bullet sponge enemy, you should feel, you know, a sense of reward or pride that you accomplished something. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just, I feel like I know what can make a video game really good. And it's not major things, you know, it's always the little things. it's always the simplest of details that really make something great. So I hope that, with Resident Evil moving forward, they don't forget the little details, But that's just my rant. I only say this because I feel like there's potential with the next series of Resident Evil. Because if they do continue with this, there's a lot that they could improve on. Like, one thing that I found really curious was the village and everyone in it spoke American English, which I thought was kind of strange, because it's this, foreign village in some country that I'm not too sure where it is, and everybody was speaking American English. I thought that was kind of strange. And then all the villains in the game, they have an American accent. They speak American English and they have an American accent. So I feel like there's just some things that I think they forgot to what's the word I'm looking for? They just, I guess, glossed over certain things. And I feel like, not that it's necessarily rushed, but I think especially with video games today that take a lot of resource and take a lot of time to make, if you're gonna make something, you know the saying, if you're gonna do something, make sure you do it right. I think if you're gonna develop this incredible game, that has so much potential, I feel like take the time to make sure all the little details aren't looked over or overlooked, you know what I mean? The series has been kind of all over the place. I think I would say since Resident Evil 6 is when the series really went downhill. Some people would argue that 5 was that point, but at the very least 5 was similar to 4 and it was enjoyable, whereas 6 I think was a little too ambitious and they tried to do too much in a short amount of time, and I hope that's not the case with the future installments of Resident Evil, because oftentimes these games have really good ideas, but they fail on executing them. So I hope that with these games, and also games in general, that developers are able to take the time, because I know that sometimes developers are on a schedule and they have to meet the release date, and they have to release the game because that's what people want. And it could be, people being impatient, which I understand, but I would rather wait and play a really well-made game than get the game right away and play like just a really messy game. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. Hello. I'm just waiting, building up some hype for this demo. I did pre-order the game. I pre-ordered the PS4 and PS5 bundle. So when I get a PS5, I'll be able to play this game on both systems, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited. I'm playing on PS4 Pro, so it's slightly better than the standard PS4 in terms of resolution and also frame rate. The story has me pretty interested. I think the series, the first person series, it does remind me a lot of BioShock, because it has a lot of those aspects that BioShock has. But I feel like the controls need to be refined just a little bit more. Because with first person, your field of view is a bit narrower than it would be if it were in third person. And you have enemies that really don't stay still for long. So you have to be quick with your shots, and it's very easy to miss. And that's one of the reasons why I would recommend incorporating like some type of staggering effect, similar like to Resident Evil 5, where depending on where you shoot an enemy, it'll stagger them and, you know, slow them down for a brief time, so you can like get a good shot in or finish them off. I feel like that would have been really, a really good idea if they had done that. Because there's no way to slow enemies down, so I figure if you really have to be precise with your shots, I feel like that would be a way to reward players for being careful with their ammunition, because they're playing smart. Whereas like in Resident Evil 7, and I guess potentially this game, no matter where you shoot an enemy, unless it's a headshot, you really just have to keep firing at them and hope that you'll kill them. And then your reticle is so incredibly small that if an enemy moves, that reticle, it only covers a small amount of the screen real estate. So you have to be extremely precise with your shots. And then also you have to be really quick. Like if you noticed in my playthrough of Resident Evil 7, I died a lot during my playthrough because, well, to be honest, I think that Resident Evil 7's controls are pretty clunky. I feel like it's a game that's trying to innovate and also trying to be like a few other games that off the top of my head I'm thinking of, to where it really struggles in terms of not wanting the player to have an easy experience, and also trying to be intuitive to where it feels like a fresh experience for the game. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, personally I think there are more problems with first person Resident Evil than if they were to simply do it in third person. And I know the argument would be, well, first person is more immersive, and third person, you can see more of what's behind you. I would prefer to have a smoother gameplay experience than a clunky immersive experience. But, you know, that's just my take on it. But I don't know. I think, like I said, I'm still looking forward to playing this game, and I think it will be an interesting story and experience. It's just my criticisms. Really, it's just me nitpicking at this game. I think first person could work. They just have to create a system for the perspective of first person. Because if you take the third person aspect of Resident Evil and you just put it in first person, you're leaving a lot out. You know, there's a lot of design elements that need to go along with the game being in first person. I'm skeptical in the sense that I feel like this game is trying to be like multiple games. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not skeptical on the fact that it'll be a good game, because I think it'll be a good game. It's just a matter of will the controls be fun to play? You know, that's what I'm concerned about, because if it's a survival horror game and they throw like 4 enemies at you at once, and you have to be extremely precise. I don't know what I'm trying to say. The game is $60. Well, at least the version that I got is. I bought the PS4 and PS5 version, which was $60. But if you go up to the digital deluxe edition, I think it's $70, depending on where you are. Unless you live in Canada, it might be $80. But if anyone's watching, I'm interested to know, what do you think of the first person perspective? Do you like it? Do you have any criticisms of it? Because I feel like it reminds me a lot of BioShock. But with BioShock, you at the very least are able to stun enemies, or you have other tools to help you fight enemies. Whereas like with Resident Evil, you have weapons and then you have grenades, but your weapons don't really stagger enemies. Like, so if you shoot them in the leg, they just keep moving. You know, they just keep like coming at you. So, I'm not sure. I've got my big old cup of horchata. Got some horchata. 41 minutes. I think I'll stop the stream at around 30 minutes or so. I don't want to keep this countdown going too long. I'm gonna stop the stream and then I'm gonna restart it when the timer closes in. I have no idea what's going on upstairs. I think people might be working on something. I'm just looking down on my phone. I am indeed very excited. Yes. My headset just shipped. Hopefully it'll be here Monday. This headset, it's not a terrible headset, but it does capture a lot of the background noise. So I ordered myself a new one that will hopefully have a better mic quality than this one. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't often have time to play all the video games that I have. At most, I can spend maybe like 5 hours playing video games if I really wanted to. Then after, I have other things that I need to do and take care of. Because usually when I come home from work, I'm pretty tired and my work is very physically demanding. I'm drinking horchata. It's very delicious. Horchata is always good. I know a lot of people are saying that the tall lady is potentially a tyrant, and that sounds pretty plausible. I'm not sure what she is though. I think it'll be interesting to discover more about what's going on in Resident Evil Village. Most of the villains in the game, because in Resident Evil 7, the main villains that you had to worry about were the Baker family, whereas like in Village you have so neighbors are working on something, I'm not sure what, so if you hear drilling, that's why. So in Resident Evil 7, the main enemies were the Bakers, the Baker family, because they were all infected or trying to kill Ethan. Whereas like in this game, you have the main villains are house leaders, like you have the several different houses. So you have Dimitrescu. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. Is it Dimitrescu or Dimitrescu? I honestly am not sure, so I'll just call her Dimitrescu. You have her house, you have Heisenberg, you have that puppet person, and then there's also Miranda, Remember there's another one, but I can't remember the name. So you have like these different houses that I guess Ethan is having to go through to find his daughter. You thought they are witches or vampires? They could be. I'm not sure if they're witches. They might be vampires. I remember seeing someone said that they aren't vampires, despite, you know, them needing blood and all that. But honestly, I don't know. I can't give you an honest answer. They do look like vampires. I remember someone saying that Lady Dimitrescu is a tyrant, which kind of makes sense. She's tall and then extremely strong. So, who knows? She could be. Tall lady name? I think her name is Alcina Dimitrescu or Dimitrescu. I hear everybody pronouncing it differently. Some people say Dimitrescu, some people say Dimitrescu. If somebody knows the correct pronunciation. Got horchata. It's delicious horchata while I wait for the demo. Yeah, I think the whole internet likes the tall lady. I think everybody loves the tall lady. Do you think that we are going to kill the tall lady? That's a good question. I feel like nobody wants to kill the tall lady. But if the tall lady gets in the way of Ethan's daughter, then if it comes down to like tall lady or Ethan's daughter, I think Ethan is definitely going to choose his daughter. You know, he's definitely going to want to choose Rose. So, I don't know. We could face a situation where we have to kill tall lady. But if we do kill tall lady, how are we going to do it? You know, because she's a tyrant and they are extremely difficult to kill. So, she doesn't seem like she would go down easily. You know, it doesn't seem like we would be able to kill her very easily. I do not know. I feel like everyone can talk about her for hours. Hours and hours. Yeah, so stay tuned to this channel because after this countdown, I'm gonna end this stream and I'm gonna start it again. So if you wanna watch the gameplay, just make sure you stay tuned on this channel because I'm gonna restart a different stream. This is just a countdown stream. So I will be playing the castle portion of the demo. If anyone is interested in watching. Oh wow, I have about 5 viewers. I think that's the most I've had in a while. And I did buy the game, so I'm definitely going to be streaming that. Upload a channel profile pic. I know. All of my YouTube channels don't have a profile picture. I've just been really lazy lately. I haven't put really that much effort into my YouTube channels. Cause yeah, I come home from work and I'm pretty exhausted. Like, I just don't have the motivation to do things when I'm tired. I look very young, but I am 25. I don't look it at all. I look extremely young. And then I also just shaved, so I don't have my mustache. Yeah. I know, it's pretty crazy. My secret is drink lots of horchata. No, I'm just kidding. I'm interested, do you guys prefer Resident Evil in the third person perspective, like the camera over the shoulder? Or do you like the first person perspective? Yeah, personally, I would prefer the third person, but, you know, I can get used to the first person, so long as it's well made. Like, I would, you know, similar to BioShock, I feel like this game reminds me really heavily. It reminds me really heavily of a BioShock. Third person is better for action games. It depends on how the game is made, I would say. Because it's not necessarily better, it's more so how the game is made for the perspective that you're looking through. Because I used BioShock as an example. Like, BioShock is a really well made horror game that's in first person. Multiplayer games in first person, yeah, like most of the multiplayer games are first person shooters, but there's like that smoothness that you get. There's like a bit of fluidity, whereas like Resident Evil, I feel like the controls aren't as fluid as they could be. I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. Yeah. In third person, yeah, it's easy to spot people in third person. Whereas like in first person, you have to kind of be on your toes. I always joke that Resident Evil 7 was a PT ripoff because it was so similar. Because I played PT, and one of the things I noticed that at the end of the teaser, they specifically said that the PT teaser was just a teaser and not how the full game was going to be. So Silent Hills was potentially going to be in a different perspective. So there wasn't really a guarantee that Silent Hills was going to be in first person. And I think what Resident Evil 7 tried to do is take PT and apply combat to it. But PT wasn't designed as a combative game. You know, it was an interactive experience. So I'm not sure. I feel like I'm just ranting. They won't let us see Ethan. Yeah, that's another reason, which I think is kind of strange. You know, Of all the Resident Evil protagonists, they're not letting us see Ethan's face. That's why Rogue Company is an unsuccessful game. An unsuccessful game, what makes a game unsuccessful is how well the development team that's working on the game is. Because the game is only as good as its development team. Resident Evil 7 had no logic and a hard story. I would say Resident Evil 7, the story was okay. I thought it was an okay story. Like, he was going to save his wife. I just didn't like the bullet sponge enemies. Like, you would just have to... You would shoot those molded creatures in the head several times, and it would be like 6 or 7 shots before their head exploded, which I didn't like, because it was just completely random. I also don't like blocking with like the first person perspective. I don't like that. The only way that you block in Resident Evil 7 and 8 is like you put your hands up like to block, but that covers like your entire screen. So it decreases your field of view when you do that, which I don't like. Resident Evil 3 Remake was way better. Yeah, I agree. I liked Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2 Remake. I feel like if they did Resident Evil 7 like that, it would have been a much better experience, 100%. Your Resident Evil 7 rating was 5.5 out of 10. I would give it a solid 7, just because of the clunky controls and like the bullet sponge enemies. Yeah, my rating would be like a solid 7. Just because of that. Because the enemies are bullet sponges. Yeah, I like the remakes a lot more than Resident Evil 7. See, like the remakes show that you can do a survival horror game in third person. Like, you can still feel like spooked and helpless in third person. They nailed it with Resident Evil 2 and 3. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that. Alright. In about 5 or 6 minutes, I'm gonna stop this stream, and then I'm gonna redo a different stream. So I'll do the gameplay on a different stream, because this stream is just a countdown stream. So if you do want to watch me play this game, then just make sure you stay tuned on this channel. Click on my channel, and the stream will go live very shortly after this one. For everyone that's watching right now, if you're interested in watching me play. Are you excited for Resident Evil Village? Yes, I am. I pre-ordered the game. I got the PS4 and PS5 version. So, yeah, I got it pre-ordered, and this is the second demo that I've checked out. I'm pretty excited for. Do you like Claire or Valentine? If I had to choose between the two, I'm gonna go with Jill. Jill Thick with 2 C's. If I had to choose, yeah, I'd definitely go with Jill. just a few, very shortly I'm gonna end this stream, and then I'm going to start a different stream, which is gonna be the gameplay stream. It's almost here, 20 minutes away. So in a little bit I'm gonna end this stream and then I'm gonna start a new stream. So if anyone wants to watch me play this game, go ahead and click on my channel, depending on where you're watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and click on my channel, and I'll start a new stream very shortly. So hopefully I'll see you guys all there. Alright, so I'm gonna end this stream now. Alright, I'll be right back.